Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're building something you've all been asking for, a sleek modern contact form using Vue 3 in Tailwind CSS. No backend required. That's right, we'll hook it up with email.js to send real emails, all from the front end. Whether you're a dev looking to spice up your portfolio or just want a clean way to handle user messages, this tutorial has you covered. Let's dive in. Alright, before we jump into the code, let me quickly show you how this form works in action. I'll go ahead and enter a full name here, then an email, we'll give it a subject, and finally a message. Now when I hit send message, you'll see the button change into a loading spinner. That means it's sending the message using email.js. Message sent, and I get a toast notification saying message sent successfully, we'll get back to you soon. Now let's check my inbox. Here it is. I just received an email from Coding with the subject and the message, "Hi, how are you doing?" sent from task@gmail.com. So the form works perfectly. It actually sends the message right into your Gmail. Let's now build this step by step so you can add it to your own projects. Now let's go ahead and set up our project using Vite and Vue. So let's open up the command prompt and run the command to scaffold a new project. Navigate into the folder, run npm install. Now I'll open the project in VS Code by typing code dot. Alright, I'll open a terminal and install Tailwind CSS in our project. In the terminal, I'm going to run this command. Now let's add Tailwind Vite plugin to our Vite configuration. Let's add import Tailwind CSS to our style CSS. Now I'll start building the contact form. First, I'm creating a full screen section using main screen with a dark background. I'm adding padding on all sides to make it responsive. And to center everything, I'm using flags, item center, justify center. Inside that, I'm adding a container with a max width using max WLG, a border with pink color, padding, and rounded corners for that soft modern look. The H1 uses a gradient text effect. Below that, I've added a simple paragraph telling users will respond within 24 hours. Finally, I'm starting the form element here. I'm using submit prevent equals submit form to handle the form submission using view. We'll define that method later. The space y just gives space in between the inputs. Now I'm going to create a reusable component called floating input. This will let us create both input and text area fields without repeating the same structure every time. Inside the template, I'm using a dynamic component tag. In the script section, I define the props we need. Next, I use define emits, update model value. This is required for our component to work with vModel. Basically, when the user types something, we emit that new value so the parent component stays in sync. This allows me to switch between regular input in the text area depending on its text area prop. I bind all the necessary attributes like type, ID, rows. And most importantly, model value. I'm using views vModel binding with @input and update model value. Then I use two computed properties to handle dynamic styling based on the border color we pass as a prop. Input border class builds the focus border class dynamically, like focus border purple 500, focus border pink 500, or whatever color we pass in. Same thing for label color class, but this one applies the text color to the label when the input is focused, using Tailwind's peer focus utility. Now I'm setting up the submit button for the contact form. It's a full width button with a beautiful gradient from purple to pink. Inside the button, there's a span that handles the text. And I'm binding its style dynamically with class. If his submitting is true, it will show sending in gray to indicate that something's happening. Otherwise, we display send message in white. This makes the form feel more interactive. You click and you know it's doing something. Now I'm adding this little hidden div, and no, it's not a mistake. This trick is actually to make sure Tailwind doesn't purge the focus border and pair focus border classes during build. Since those classes are dynamically generated with a computed property in the component, Tailwind might not detect them. So by writing them out here, even inside the hidden div, we're telling Tailwind, hey, don't remove these styles, we actually use them. It's just a neat little hack to keep our dynamic styling safe. Now I'll move on to adding hero icons. These are the icons I'll use in the form. They're super clean and easy to integrate in Vue. To install them, run this command. Then you can import any icon you need. Now I'll install Vue Toastify to show a quick notification after the form is submitted. Now I'm going to create a composables folder, and inside it I'll create a file called use2stify.js. In this file, I'll set up reusable functions for toast notifications. I'm importing toasts from Vue3 to Stify and also the CSS for styling. I define some default options like position, auto-close time, theme, and animation. These make sure all toasts look and behave the same way across the app. Then I create two methods, one for showing success messages and another one for error messages. Both of them use the default options, but I also allow overriding them if needed. Finally, I return the two methods, so I can import and use them easily in any component. Now I'm going to create an account on email.js, which will help us send emails directly from our form without needing a backend. To create your email.js account, you just need to fill in your basic informations, name, email, and password. Once that's done, make sure to check your Gmail and activate your account using the link they send you. The first thing we need to do is add a new service inside email.js. This will give us a service ID. We'll also connect it to the Gmail account where you want to receive messages from the contact form. After creating the service, we'll move on to creating a new email template. This is where we define the structure of the email, and once it's set up, we'll give the template ID, which we'll need to use in our form submission logic. Now let's take a quick look at the email.js documentation. This is where you'll find everything you need to work with email.js. Let's go ahead and install it in our project. Head over to the SDK section, then installation, and copy this command into your terminal. Once email.js is installed, we need to initialize it with our public key. You can do that by using the email.js init method. But before initializing email.js, let's keep things secure and clean by creating env file. We'll store our sensitive data here instead of hard coding it. You can find your public key in account, just copy it and paste it into your environment file. Do the same for service ID and template ID. These are required to connect your app to your email.js service and template, so make sure you add them to the environment file as well. First, we set is submitting to true so we can disable the button and show the spinner while the form is being sent. We prepare the template params. These are the values that will be sent to email.js. We take the name, email, subject, and message directly from the form. Then, inside the try block, we call email.js send with our service ID, template ID, and the parameters. If everything goes well, we show a success message and reset the form values. But if there is an error, we catch it and show an error message. And finally, no matter what, we set is submitting back to false to enable the button and hide the spinner. And that's it, now you have a fully working contact form connected to email.js. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.